Well, your tax returns have now been filed, and many Americans are now deciding whether to spend their returns or save them. This morning, Dan White with Daniel A. White & Associates is joining us live. He's sharing tips on how you should use your tax returns this year. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Shelley. How are you?
I am good, and I've got some questions for you. So if you are lucky, you do get a return. How do you decide whether or not you should save it?
Well, I think the key here is what your financial situation looks like. I mean, a recent study came out and said, like, if people had a $400 emergency, over half of America wouldn't be able to come up with the funds for that $400. So if you're one of these people that has a lot of debt, credit card debt, and you don't have any emergency fund, when you get a tax refund, let's face it, interest rates are going up. And if you've got credit card debt, the odds are pretty good that maybe you're paying 15, 16%. You might be paying 17, 18% soon. So if you've got debt, I think you got to apply it to the debt.
Okay. Good.
If on the other hand, you're debt free and you've got that emergency fund set up and you're in pretty good shape financially, I think you got the liberty to kind of take that money and go on a vacation or do whatever you want with it.
Okay. If you are going to save it, would you just throw it in your bank account, or would you consider any specific savings accounts that maybe are a smarter investment and get more of a return?
Yeah, that's a tough one, too, because, interest rates for the longest time have been close to zero, and we are starting to see some increase. Quite frankly, I think if you waited 3 to 6 months, I think your bank money markets and your CD rates are all going to increase. So the smart thing might be to put it in the bank, just sit tight for a little while and just see where these interest rates go. If you're thinking of a more longer term type thing, I mean, the markets are kind of volatile right now, so I don't know that now would be a good entry point for the stock market. So I think the safest thing would be throw it in the bank, see where interest rates go, and take it from there.
Okay. Maybe not permanently, so you're going to have to pay attention to it, but for the short term.
Yep.
Thinking ahead to next year, if you didn't get a return, you have to pay this year. Should you make any changes?
Well, the sweet spot is, I mean, if you're doing it perfectly, you shouldn't get any refund and you shouldn't owe anything. That means you paid the right amount of taxes. When I see people getting really large refunds, I mean, basically think about it. You're really just giving the government an interest-free loan for 12 months. I mean, it's money you could have had in your paycheck, but because you had too much withheld, you're giving it to the government, and then once a year. And I know some people love that. They love getting a big refund check because it's like, oh, wow, look, we're going to get some money. But that's not always a good thing either. The other flip side is if you're not having enough withheld, you could get hit with some penalties and interest. So you don't want to owe a whole lot. You really don't want to get a whole lot back. You want to kind of be somewhere right in the middle.
Have any advice for finding that sweet spot?
Well, I mean, when you're doing your return, you'll know if you're getting too big of a refund or that kind of thing. If you're getting back $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, you're probably paying the government too much. And think about it, if that was in your paycheck, you might even be able to withhold a little bit more to go into a retirement account because you wouldn't even miss it because your paycheck's going to be bigger as is.
Okay. Dan White, thanks for joining us this morning. Good advice.
Have a great afternoon.